Get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. I have a really creepy ghost story for you this evening. It's one that I think has kind of been told and retold a few different ways, a few different times. The only version of it I can give you is the one I heard just a few days ago talking to a friend. But what's creepier than the ghost story I came up here to tell you about this evening is something that happened this afternoon. This is one of the weirdest freaking things I've ever had happen in my life. I don't know how to explain it, so I'm simply going to tell you about it, and then I'm going to get into our ghost story. So it rained today, most of the day. It was cold. It was in the low 40s, and I went out and ran 5 miles in it because that's what my training schedule called for today, a 5-mile run. So that makes you tired enough in and of itself, the running, but when you do it in cold weather, when you do it when it's raining, it's even colder. So I got home, stoked the fire up. You know, I was cold. I stretched out real good after my run in front of the fire, and the exhaustion from the workout, from my body temperature staying higher in the cold rain, with the fire, I was exhausted. I just got really tired. And I told my wife, I said, honey, I'm going to go upstairs and take a nap before our son, Daniel, comes home from school. And she said, okay, yeah, I don't blame you. So I went upstairs. I have a bed in the spare bedroom I use as my office. I was laying in bed, reading for just a few minutes, which always helps me go to sleep. And when I sleep up in my office, I shut the door and I put in earplugs because my beautiful bride dearly, aka Giggly Girl, bless her beautiful heart, likes to watch movies in the afternoons. That's like her downtime. She doesn't nap. She'll watch a movie, stream it online, and she turns it up super loud. So I can't hear it with the earplugs in, with the door shut. I leave my phone downstairs, turned off. Dearly always has hers on, of course, just in case somebody needs to get in touch with us if our son's out. So I had one of those sleeps. It lasted about an hour. That was, I call it the sleep of the dead. I mean, it was like comatose deep sleep. The type where you don't even realize you're in existence. It's like you just don't exist. And then all of a sudden, behind my eyes, in this deep sleep, I see my son and he's yelling, Dad, just once real loud. And I wake up and I sit up and I had no clue where I was. I had no idea where I was. That's how deep of a sleep I was in. Okay. And I'm looking around and my heart's racing. My heart was beating faster than it was earlier in the day when I ran 5 miles. It's like I'd been sprinting, and I'm looking around. It took me actual time, I would say 6 to 8 seconds to figure out where I was. That's a long time in that state. And I know that most of you watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. You've had an experience like this. You're in such a deep sleep, it's like you're in a coma and you hear your name, or you suddenly come to and you literally don't know where you are to the point to where you're scared. Didn't help that I had the earplugs in because I couldn't hear either. And the walls are white in that room, and it's like I was in purgatory or something. So 6 or 8 seconds later, I came to, I'm like, in my office, in my heart, I'm like, oh, this needs to come down. I looked at my watch. It was 2:54 p.m. Okay. Not very long at all before my son typically gets home from school on the bus, and either myself or Dearly, his mother, meets him like every day when he gets off the bus. We don't have to, but we do it because we miss him. And when I go down there, I usually have a football or a soccer ball or whatever it is we like to do here in the field after he gets home, and we just start playing even on the way up to the house. So I see that it's 2:54, but I'm so tired. It's like I thought, oh, just go back to sleep for another 30 minutes. You're so hard, you're so tired. You're exhausted from this increased training regimen you're doing. I'm doing speed work now twice a week. But it was like, no, something was telling me. It's like, my son needs me. My son needs me. And I remember thinking, that's a crazy thought. Why would he need you? He's on the bus on his way home. He's going to be home in 10 or 15 minutes. And I decided not to go back to sleep, but to get up and to go downstairs and have some coffee and start waking up to be ready to get my son from the bus and play with him football, which is what we played today after he finally got home. Don't want to give it away yet. This is part of the story. So I go down, like I'm so tired. I'm practically like staggering down the stairs. I'm holding onto the rail. And Dearly's in the living room, and she looks at me and she says, "Why are you awake? Why didn't you sleep longer?" I'm like, Daniel's coming home and he needs me. Daniel needs me. And she's like, "Just lay on the couch and sleep more. I'll make you coffee." So I lay on the couch. She goes in the kitchen. Sometime later, I think I did fall back to sleep. She comes in, she brings me coffee, and I'm drinking coffee. And I said, "Is Daniel here yet?" And she says, "No, well, he'll be here any minute." And I'm drinking coffee. After about half a cup, which just took maybe 5 minutes, I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, "He's not here. He should have been here 10 minutes ago. What's going on?" And she's like, "I don't know." I said, "Well, did you get a call or a text?" And she says, "No." So she checks her phone and she says, "There's no calls. There's no text." And I'm like, well, that's odd. So I'm drinking my coffee. And sometimes the bus is late. And just once last week, they sent a text that it was going to be 45 minutes late because they were having problems. So it happens. On that particular day, we'd actually picked him up because we went into town to run some errands and do some things. So we really lucked out that day. So anyway, the bus still isn't here. And I'm thinking to myself, this is really odd. And so I go to get my phone, thinking, well, maybe it just, for some rare circumstance or some odd reason, they only texted or called me and not her. They always call or text both. So I get my phone. It's not on. Of course. So I had it turned off for my nap. So I turn it on. And once it, powers up, I see that there's a voicemail. So I go and I listen to it. For some reason, there was a miscommunication. My kid's school thought that we were picking him up today and he wasn't riding the bus. But that wasn't the case. Just a normal, ordinary Wednesday. He's supposed to ride the bus. But there was a message that, he was at the school waiting in the office with school staff. And they were wondering where we were because we didn't come pick him up. And I thought, this is really weird. So well, Dearly was with me. She heard the voicemail and I said, well, let me call the school. So I called the school and I said, okay, I'll be there in X amount of minutes. I don't want to tell you exactly how far away from my kid's school I live. They said, yeah, no problem. He's here. And one of his friends is hanging out with him. They're eating a snack. So I said, okay, I'll be there in X amount of minutes. So I get off the phone and I think that is so weird that they would call me or text me and not my wife. So I go back and I look where you hit recents, shows your calls. That call came into my phone at 2:54. The exact time I had that, whatever it was, when I woke up like that, I just was in a comatose deep sleep and I saw my son's face and heard him yell, "Dad." That was at 2:54 p.m. The exact same time the school called to say, "Hey, your kid's here in the office waiting on somebody to come get him." I just got chills telling this story again. I don't know how you explain that kind of stuff. So anyway, it gets even weirder. Listen to this. So I go and I pick him up, right? And on the way home, he says, "I'm hungry. Let's stop somewhere and get something to eat." I said, "Yeah, well, I'm kind of hungry too." And I said, "Your mom's been working all day. She's been doing wonderful things in the kitchen all day, cooking a lot of her stuff that we've got listed on the Etsy store. Actually, she was making adobo peanuts today." And I said, "Your mom's been cooking all day. The last thing I want her to do is cook us a meal this evening, as delicious as her meals are." I said, "So you know what? Yes, let's stop. There's only one place between his school and our home, because we're out here in the middle of nowhere, that sells food. Now, we could zip into town in just a few short minutes, but I didn't want to do that because of traffic. It's the hour of day where schools are letting out, and there's like 5 high schools in our county, 80,000 people in the county. I didn't want to get into to that traffic and have what should have been 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out take an hour, because that can happen that time of day. So I said, well, let's stop at this one place. We never go there. We used to, but here's why we stopped. Okay, I'm not going to name the business. They're wonderful people. They're pricey, but what you get is good. But they have it pre-made, and but it's worth. Let me tell you, it's worth the money. But we stopped going because every time you go to the register to check out, they say, "Would you like to add a tip?" And then they stare at you. And I'd always say, "Well, sure, $3 or whatever for like a $20 purchase." But every time we leave, my wife's like, "Why do they ask for a tip?" Whatever. That's the reason why we just stopped going. So my point is, I haven't been to this place in a year. We just never go there. So, but we stopped today and we got some delicious sandwiches. The food is great. And ironically, they didn't ask us if we wanted to tip. So we might start going back. I know times are tough, but they're not just tough for small business owners. They're kind of tough for everybody. And that just really rubbed my wife the wrong way. But anyway, at any rate, they didn't ask today. So I got some delicious food, brought it home. We walked in the door and, my wife said, I knew you were bringing food, so I didn't cook. I said, what? And she said, well, I was getting ready to start making chicken adobo. Oh, I love chicken adobo. And she says, but something told me you were bringing food, and so I didn't cook. And I was like, honey, you know there's only one spot between the school and where we live to get food. And you know we never go there because you get kind of, you don't like how they're always asking if we want to tip. That's where I went and I bought food. And she goes, yeah, I know. Somehow I knew you were going to stop there, so I didn't even start cooking. I mean, could it be that our family unit is so close that we kind of can read each other's minds? I don't know. My wife and I do that kind of thing all the time, but that I seriously don't believe can explain that dream and that experience I had. Seeing his face, hearing him call out to me, getting chills. It's one of the weirdest things I have ever experienced in my life. So, I catch my breath after that. Gosh, a 5-mile run, that crazy dream. Now telling the story, getting my heart rate back up. If you've had any experiences like that, feel free to share them with us in the comment section below. And anyway, you know, I mentioned my wife was making peanuts. This is what she made. Check it out. Well, this bag's only half full. I've eaten 2.5 bags of these today. These are called adobong manit is how you say it. And I think that's Tagalog, might be Visayan, probably Tagalog. But what that means in English is adobo peanuts or peanuts adobo. Look at her little tags she uses there. Isn't that neat? Dearly's Kitchen. I think it might be out of focus. Says authentic Filipino food. Isn't that cute? And it's got a spatula and a frying pan and the Filipino flag. So anyway, these are delicious and I eat like all day since I'm training so much now. I'm always hungry. I can eat a meal. I'll be full 30 minutes to an hour later. And a lot of it is because of the food I'm eating. I'm like totally eating only healthy stuff now. Peanuts are wonderful because they have a lot of protein, which of course makes you feel less hungry, unless you're training to be the fastest guy over 50 in Central Virginia. Well, then you just eat more peanuts. So, oh my gosh. Hold on. Oh my goodness. These are delicious. Let's see if potentially we can use the scent from these peanuts to attract him, her, it, or they. Yeah, I see that just right there where I was pointing. Look right above the peanut bag. It appears already as if, and yeah, I saw that projectile. That wasn't somebody throwing something at me. That was a peanut flying out of my mouth. It appears already as if Miss Dearly's wonderful adobong manit, adobo peanuts, Filipino style peanuts, have just become the preferred peanuts of Bigfoot Sasquatch. Just like right there, right now. Well, it's still there, but it's like 3 feet over. It was right behind it. There, it's moving again. Boom. Bam. Proof. The preferred peanuts of Bigfoot Sasquatch. These are delicious. And they're available on our Etsy store. The link is in the description box below. That ghost story, I might have to tell it to you another time. We've gone too long. If you've ever had crazy dreams like that, please share them with me in the comment section below. And go buy my wife's peanuts. They're delicious. Hey, Bigfoot Sasquatch, Bigfoot Sasquatch, Bigfoot Sasquatch.
Kaun ka adobong mani.
That means, do you eat adobo peanuts? And Messiah, just in case it's a capri.